everybody. Welcome to the week of May 11th for science this week. Hope you guys are all doing great, and I hope that everybody, I've got Arwen up here visiting with me. I hope everybody who has those awesome people that are just like moms to them had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day. So I wish them well. Make sure you do that for me, okay? All right, so we are lessons 2 through 6. I kind of am combining these lessons up on the board for us, and that is on classifying rocks and the rock cycle. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So ready, set, go, right? Very good. All right. Well, Arwen should make an appearance in a minute. It looks like she's going to try to play the drums. She keeps trying to grab the drumsticks. She's a busybody, you guys. She's a busybody. All right. So let's take a look here at what we've got. And this will tie right into the assignments that you guys are doing this week. So without further ado, how do we classify rocks? How do scientists classify rocks? And there are 4 ways that they classify rocks. They look at the composition, what it's made out of. And minerals are typically made out of either rocks are typically made of one type of mineral or maybe a combination of several types of minerals. So the composition can vary. So we have to look at other things too aside from composition, such as number 2, which is texture. Texture are the grains that give the rock the texture. So if you think of like a sand grain, a rock that might feel a little bit more rough might have some type of a sandy type of grain. So there are so many different types of grains, and that's what gives it its texture. Does it feel rough? Does it feel bumpy? Does it feel smooth? Does it have a smooth texture? Those types of words describing texture. And we'll talk a little bit more about the grains when we get down to the metamorphic rock. Okay? Color. As you hopefully remembered, color is not the only thing that we should look at when we're looking at rocks, because so many have the same color. A great example is my son my 4-year-old was actually just checking out the sedimentary rock collection that I bought, and happened to move everything around, and some of them look so similar that I was a little bit upset. Yes, a little bit. I didn't yell, but I was a little bit upset. I had to kind of figure out where they all went based on other characteristics. So a great example, I couldn't just use color for any of those rock samples. I have to look at other things. The color can also give you clues about the material. Again, maybe not the exact material, but a clue. I also want to look at origin, which we'll get into a little bit more on the other side here. Origin is kind of like the start of something, right? So how the rock formed, how did it originate? Okay. So those are, again, the 4 ways that scientists, geologists specifically look at classifying rocks. What category do we put them in? We'll talk about the categories in just a minute. And actually, I'm going to come back to the rock cycle actually at the end. So let's look at those types of rock right now, and then this will make a little more sense. And you have had some of this, I know, in some of your rock studies from other years of schooling. So some of this may look very familiar to most of you, while others it might be a little bit that you kind of remember bits and pieces, and some of you might not remember much at all, and that's okay. That's what this is here for. I will also take a snapshot of this so that you guys will have a photo of this board, because there is a ton on it and you may not be able to see all of those. I also took a snapshot of all 3 of my rock sample cases: sedimentary, igneous, and metamorphic. And so you will see, just as I showed you the sedimentary, you guys will see the pictures with the rocks nice and close up. Okay, my husband's going to put those at the very end of this video for me. So, all right, so the 3 major categories of rock types, got them in purple here, easy to see. So we have igneous rock. We'll talk about some things there and check that off. Sedimentary rock. We'll talk about some characteristics of sedimentary rock. And then metamorphic rock. We'll talk about the traits of metamorphic rock. Not too difficult, I will say, and kind of cool to learn about. So let's go to igneous rock. Igneous rock is the one that is formed by magma. So basically lava, right? Magma. So super hot. And then during that cooling process, and you guys will watch a really cool video on a place in Ireland that this has happened, this igneous rock. As it cools, it forms that type of rock, igneous rock. Now there's two types of igneous rock, intrusive, and you'll notice that, hopefully you can see that in red I underlined the word in, and extrusive, I underlined the X. And that will help you remember these. And the reason being is because intrusive igneous rock, it sounds like a huge statement. Intrusive igneous rock is when the magma hardens beneath the Earth's surface. So that might make sense, right? The word in, you can think in the earth, right? Deep in the earth is where that type of rock forms and hardens. Extrusive, as you might have guessed, is the outer area of the earth. So that would be on the Earth's surface. So not within the earth, but on the Earth's surface. And that's when the lava erupts on the Earth's surface. So a kind of a little trick to remember those, in being beneath the Earth's surface and X being on the Earth's surface, like the exterior of something. Good prefixes to know, for sure. Some of the uses, we use igneous rock for bridges because it is so strong. We also use it for buildings and statues. In fact, in ancient Egypt, this is part of the notes, but I couldn't fit it in here. In ancient Egypt, they used it very, very often, a very, very long time ago, for statues and other things. So very strong and can last a really long time. And you can imagine it would, because if we're talking about magma cooling and hardening, that is pretty tough stuff, right? So it's going to last a long time. All right, sedimentary rock. I like this one. This is one of my favorite ones. Sedimentary rock, and I really should have drawn a picture here, is formed when you get these layers of particles that happen in different particles. So let's say you have some small particles, you've got some another type of particle, and then this pattern sort of repeats itself over many, 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 many years. And it forms sort of these, you kind of see these distinct layers. I know you guys have seen pictures of that. There's a picture actually in the notes that will be much better than my drawing. But you see these distinct layers that have happened over millions and millions of years, and it's just small layer after small layer, and you'll even see like a discoloration. Some of them are maybe brown, some of them are a different shade of brown, and they're just these beautiful patterns that happen by this layering effect. And as you know, I know from your earlier schooling years, the oldest sedimentary rock would be at the bottom, right, as it layers over the years. They are formed by rock particles and plant remains that get pressed together basically under intense pressure below the Earth's surface. So this is happening below the Earth's surface. Those particles get really compressed together, and that's how they form. Again, taking a long, long time, as the second bullet states. It takes millions of years of weathering. We talked about weathering, the wearing away of something due to different circumstances, such as ice, snow, rain, wind. We saw that picture when we were in class. We looked at the picture of that location, I believe it was out in Arizona, and it was that stone structure where the wind had, its pathway took it right through the center, and there was this sort of that hole there in the middle, and it just kept wears away over time. It does take a while, but it happens. And then erosion is the wearing away of different material. And we have deposition, which is when something is deposited, those sediments are deposited or essentially laid down, and it creates that foundation. All right, so again, that takes a long, long time to happen. And just a little cool tidbit that's in the notes, the White House is actually made of a sedimentary type of rock, which is sandstone. And I have that one here. I can show you guys. I think I showed it in the last video. Sandstone, I'll see if I can get, I probably can't get too close without it getting too blurry, but that is a sample of sandstone. So kind of cool that the White House is made of that. I thought that was an interesting tidbit. And lastly, we have metamorphic rock. Metamorphic is basically a combo of these types of rock that are really deep below the earth when they go under intense pressure. that is when it changes to metamorphic rock. So formed with intense heat and pressure, very, very deep in the earth, is metamorphic rock. And there are two types. Again, this is right in your notes that you'll have right within the assignment you're going to do this week. We have foliated, so that is foliated metamorphic rock, and non-foliated metamorphic rock. Lots of large words in this unit, huh? Now, foliated, if you can see the picture, if you can't, it's okay. I have a much better actual image on the notes. The grains are aligned. So those particles, those grains, those different grains are aligned, which means you'll see distinct layers. Okay, and then a non-foliated metamorphic rock, depending upon what it's made up of, the grains are much more random. So I kind of drew just a quick picture of different speckles and lines and things like that. It's much more random when it's non-foliated. All right, great. And I also put a side note because I thought this was really interesting. If you are familiar with the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that is made of marble, which is a type of metamorphic rock, so very strong. These are all quite strong, this one specifically. And then slate, I think that's one of my favorite types of metamorphic rock. I love, there's a picture in your notes of slate roofs and slate walkways. I've always wanted a slate roof. If you go to other countries, a lot of the houses actually still have slate roofs, and they're so beautiful. They are extremely expensive to have, but if you're lucky enough to be in a house that is an older one that might have it, they're really cool roofs to look at. How they're made of something so different than we normally see, at least in the United States these days. So really cool stuff. I'm really loving this unit. I hope you guys are too. A lot of people have written me and said, I really like this unit a lot. So that's awesome. All right, moving along, because I promised people that I wouldn't go and make another 49-minute video for math or anything else. They thought that one was long. I know it was long, but you were supposed to stop and do a little, everybody. So pay attention to that. There's a reason. All right. The last bit here is the rock cycle. And just, again, an amazing thing. I'm going to switch to purple because I had started writing these in purple before. And with the rock cycle, we are going to start by talking about sedimentary rock, which, again, formed by rock particles where it looks like layers over time. And when sedimentary rock undergoes heat and pressure deep within the earth, if you recall, that would change. So rock that occurs and is generated deep in the earth is called metamorphic. So when sedimentary rock undergoes that heat and pressure, it actually will change. It takes a while, of course, but it does change to metamorphic. And then this cycle just keeps going. So metamorphic rocks then will melt due to the heat in the mantle portion of our earth. By the way, the mantle is the thickest layer of the earth. There were a few people that were saying the crust was, so just pay attention to that. The mantle is actually our thickest layer. So when metamorphic rocks melt in the mantle and then they cool off, we have this type of rock. The cooling of magma, which is an igneous rock. So these metamorphic rocks then slowly turn into igneous rocks. And then finally, those igneous rocks become weathered or eroded in some way. And when that weathering occurs, and you've got particles moving and flying around and layering themselves slowly, we get what is called sedimentary rock. The sediment starts to form. Ooh, long word, sorry. Can just fit it in there. So that is our rock cycle. And then I just drew that big black arrow because what keeps happening is this whole thing just keeps occurring and occurring over time. So this week, you guys will look at, you'll need to definitely use the words, you'll see the word intrusive, extrusive on one of the videos. So you should definitely, hopefully you're watching this first. In the assignment, it says to please make sure you watch this first. That will help that I've gone over that when you go to do your video discussion. And just this in general, the sedimentary, metamorphic rock, and igneous rock items will help with the video discussions. It'll be a little easier for you. And you'll have a bit on this in that discussion too. So I would do the lesson 2 through 6 assignment first. Arwen, come. Come here. You want to say hi? She is, of course, eating everything as I'm doing this. So you guys, you want to say hi so I can distract you from eating boxes? She loves to eat paper, everyone. Say, I love to eat paper. Yes, that's what I'm doing. You're eating a box. That noise is going to bother these students. Can you say sorry? Say, I'm sorry. No more boxes. She loves to eat paper, you guys. I find many of my answer keys to all of the math are shredded everywhere. And toilet paper. She loves to go in the bathroom and undo the whole roll of toilet paper. Not a good time during this need of toilet paper to do that, right? Yeah, as you're chewing on paper. All right, you guys. So I promised I wouldn't go on forever. So here we go. That is it. You will use that for science this week. If you have questions, you know where I am. You guys are great about asking questions and Zooming and all of that. Pretty easy peasy. And remember, you can send me your stuff if it's something that you have to do in a Word document. Please send it any way that you can. Doesn't matter to me. So if you're having trouble with the format of something, or it's not looking right on your computer, or your computer's broken and you're going off of a phone, that can be really difficult to type in answers. That's going to be really tough. So just know you can always write it on paper and send it to me. A photo is fine. You can also just message me your answers. And some people are even just shooting me an email with the answers listed. I don't care how you guys do it. But please, if you're stuck or having problems, just let me know, okay? Hope you are well and have a great week.